I'm Paul Cifanelli, the sports reporter for the Sioux Falls Argus Leader, and today I am joined for our first episode by Sioux Falls Christian head football coach, a middle school science teacher, and a defending state champion, Jarrett Smith. Jarrett, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So let's dive right into this. We're a week into fall camp right now when we're talking. Just tell me what the first week has been like for you guys as things have gotten going in earnest here for the Chargers.
Tiring. I usually get sick. I'm a little get a cold. I usually get sick the first or second week. We like to practice late, 6 to 9 o'clock at night. We get to use the stadium that way at USF Field and Bob Young Field, and but it's hard to turn it off when like people are like, "Why? What do you mean you're tired?" It's like 9 o'clock. That seems like you should be just fine. Go to bed. Get home and go to bed at 10. Well, like, yeah, but it's hard to turn it off and watch some film and things like that and prep. And then we start our teacher work days like that same Monday, and so we're going burning the candle at both ends a little bit there as far as our defensive coordinator and I. But yeah, it's fun. It's just exciting, even though we get kind of tired out throughout that first week. There's just so much energy having everybody there and back, and just being able to start the season off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always tell people, like, I can't just like stop working and then go right to bed. Like, you've got to 9 o'clock practice. That means that like your brain is running till 11 o'clock at the very earliest.
Yeah, we don't get out of there until 9:30. It's just so great. We see our kids, like, they'll be in the parking lot just talking. Like, go home and go to bed. Go eat something. Go get refuel, get some protein, go to bed. And they can't do it either. They want to sit and chat about practice, and a lot of times they'll go out to eat too. And coaches are the same way. We can't turn it off. We can't turn our mind off like that fast. So
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about how different this offseason was coming off of a state championship. Was there kind of like a renewed sense of renewed fire, something like that? Or was this kind of similar to the other off seasons that you've been a part of as a head coach?
I think it's been pretty similar. I was concerned about that. I talked with our staff. I talked with other coaches who come off of state championships. Talked with our players a lot about that. Just because there's something in us as humans that want to take an easy path. And once you achieve something, then, well, I've done that. And then it's like, I did that. And I've talked to college coaches too that have said that they've had players that have come, if their high school program had a lot of success, a lot of times those were kids that they'll quit after like their freshman year, because they're satisfied with their high school career. They're satisfied with the success they had there. And so there is a reason why it's hard to win, back-to-back championships or what. Like, that's why Pure is it's unbelievable what they've been able to do. And it's not the same, in college or in the NFL, like, you're keeping guys.
Right.
In college, I guess they're going on a little bit too, but you can always recruit the people that you need. Like in high school, you got who you got. And so you're looking at that next group, and we lost a ton of great seniors that are going on to play college football. And so you're looking at the kids that are coming back to play, that were part of the starting group. And that's the group that I really wanted to focus on, staying humble and staying hungry. And so those are the things that we talked about throughout the offseason to several of those guys. The other guys that were maybe twos, they were special team starters, really contributed greatly on scout team stuff. And they got a lot of time when we were up, through a few scores on people. Those kids, no problem motivating them because they wanted it. I had several kids that didn't want rings. Even though they were like special team starters, played a ton, they were backups who played a lot. And I asked them when we started looking at stuff and ordering rings, and they're like, no, I want it when I'm a starter. And I was like, you earned this. Like, we couldn't have done this without you. And they're like, nope, just want to do it as a starter. And so I think that to me was a good sign that we were going to have a really good off season, and we did. We had a great off season.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool to hear. That's one of the great things that you can't kind of teach kids is having that mindset to always want to push yourself and do it again as the big dog. That's how you make a program instead of a great season.
Right. Yeah, and we want that to be consistent. And we talked about that throughout the off season and meetings and all summer, that we have a standard here of how we're going to treat each other. And the effort that we put forth and the focus that we're going to have when we're together. And so those are like our 3 core values: our family, effort, win. And so we call ourselves the few. So when I started, we only had 34 kids my first year. Going into my 8th year here, and we got 60 kids on the team. And so that's grown, but we're still just preaching that every single day: family, effort, win. And so those are things that you can control how you treat each other. You can control the effort that you have. And while some people have better focus than others, and that could be something in your brain that, we got plenty of ADD, ADHD kids out in the world here, but I'm one of them. But like, you can correct that and get back and refocus and things like that. And so we talk about those all the time. And I think that helps us too.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask, you've kind of gone on a bit of a Sioux Falls coaching journey here. Started at Memorial Middle School, then you go to Roosevelt, then you go to Lincoln, and now you're here. You took over Sioux Falls Christian right after back-to-back 11B titles. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking? What was the feeling when you finally accomplished that state championship last year?
It was a long, long road. A lot of emotion. Doing that with Kim, and Casey Miley was there as well, watching, because Lincoln was in the championship right after us. And Casey's a great friend of mine I grew up with, played sports with, played football and basketball with in high school. And then he was the O-line coach. Kim hired him to be the O-line coach at Roosevelt, and I was at Memorial, and he moved back. He had been a college coach and moved back and asked me to come and be his O-line assistant. And that was Kim's first year coming to Roosevelt from Edina. And so those 2 guys gave me a chance. I had no people don't a lot of people don't know this. I had no intention of ever being a high school coach. Ever. I graduated. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I wanted to coach and impact kids because sports had been such a big part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to give kids a great experience. And so my first year at Memorial, and for several years, I coached football, and then I coached girls basketball, and then I coached boys basketball. They were split seasons, and then I coached track. And so I did that for several years, and you're just coaching constantly. And then I played golf in the summer. And then I did that for 6 years at Memorial. And Casey asked me if I wanted to join the high school staff. And I had been in constant communication with Roosevelt's high school staff, right. Guys that worked at Memorial. They were my former coaches. I mean, those guys were there, Coach DeBoer and Coach Clayberg and Hermanson while he was there. And I'd been in constant communication with him. Coach Leach was a math teacher at Memorial, and he was the freshman coach and later than the DB's coach. He's at Jefferson now. And so we constantly were talking about what they're doing, anything they're doing, and I was just implementing that at Memorial so that those kids could go in as freshmen and they know all the verbiage, know all the terminology, and just make it seamless. But I had no intention of being a high school coach at all. And then things just roll. I mean, to me, that's just like, I don't know, you can call that a God thing. You can call that, where does God want you and place you? And just being a freshman, being the offensive O-line assistant, then going to be a freshman head coach for a couple of years, and then later becoming the offensive line coach, and then Jared Fredenberg getting the job at Lincoln and asking me to come be the offensive coordinator. And then Jake Pettengill called me just random one day and just said, hey, I wanted to call you and ask you, I think you should apply for this job at Sioux Falls Christian. I'm resigning today, and hung up the phone. And I thought, he's a prankster. Mm-hmm. He's not my boss. He's the middle school principal. And I thought, well, this joker. I call him back and he doesn't answer. And then later that night, he called me and said, hey, I'm not joking. I had to just go up, and I just wanted to put that in your ear. He's like, but we don't even have a middle school position for you, so I don't even know if you'll be able to do it. I'm like, well, thanks for the call and telling, my mind's now starting to spin. I'm like, do I want to do this? And talking to my wife about it. And so going into that and knowing that they're going to jump to 11A, and just talking with Jake about who they got coming back. I mean, I realized Jake didn't resign the year before. He knew that they could go back to back. He had told me that a couple of years before. He goes, I think we can go back to back in this 11B class here. And but yeah, getting that call and then thinking that over, that was a really hard decision. I'd always been in the public school, and I had great relationships and great friends, and I was going to be able to coach my nephews at Lincoln. That's why I went over there in the first place, because my nephew Luke, who ended up being an all-state tight end, and my nephew Jack, who was all-state wide receiver, has every record as a wide receiver in the state. He's at SDSU now. I wanted to coach those guys. That was a hard decision to make. But it was the right choice. And so, long story short, back to where you were, all those emotions went through me after winning that, and especially later in that night, and just spending time with Kim and just seeing Casey at the stadium. And I wouldn't have been there without Casey Miley. I wouldn't have, and Kim. Just hugging those guys and crying with those guys and just tears of joy. It never would have happened. Mm-hmm. So you just never know the path that God has for you, and the impact. And the biggest thing is just to impact kids and give them a good experience. And I have I realize that, I haven't been not every single kid is going to be like, oh, Coach Smith's the best. I had a great experience with him, because not everybody plays, and sometimes kids get fussy about that. But you gotta. I hope that over time, I've given kids a great experience everywhere I've been, and built relationships with kids everywhere I've been. I still get text kids that I had back at Memorial and at Roosevelt and at Lincoln, and became friends with kids that I had. And so all those things, and getting text messages that night, I had 100 some text messages when I finally got to my phone later that night, and just kids from back at Memorial that I, maybe even became friends with later. They were, I was barely older than those guys, coming out of college, and they were in middle school. And then I moved with a bunch of those guys from Memorial up, and we won the state championship in 2011. I coached those guys, went up with them as, when they became freshmen, and worked my way up with them. That was just quite a story too. And so those are the things that just flash through your mind, in an instant. You're just getting bombarded with these thoughts, and that's what makes it emotional.
Yeah. So about the game, which win over Lennox was more impressive to you last year? The 17-0 win during the regular season, or 28-24 gutting it out to win a state championship? Because both in their own right are pretty impressive against a team with that kind of offense and that kind of firepower and ability.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect to blank them on homecoming. Homecoming, coaches hate homecoming.
Right.
So many distractions all week. They're doing dress-up days and all that. I'm like, guys, if you're spending more time talking about your dress-up day, what you're going to wear, than film you're watching, we're going to have a problem on Friday. It's not going to go well. So coaches hate that stuff. We got a parade, and, we're like a small town. Sioux Falls Christian's like a small town, right, in Sioux Falls. And so, but we still got the parade that goes around our school. And so to beat them, 17-0 was, yeah, I didn't expect that. They got a great team and great coaches, and then, but I would say the championship game. I mean, because I think it's so easy for people to just go to negative town. Like, first thing off the bat, like, we get a first down, and then we're getting like, I don't know, we're like 35 or something like that, and I decide to go for it. We had been like 80% on fourth, that we had gone for fourth and short, like 18 times. We were like 80%, 78%, something
right.
like that. I'm like, hey, let's rock and roll here. Didn't get it. And so then they score. I mean, we had them stopped on that, and they get out of it with like a slow screen to the left, and they end up scoring off that later. And then our quarterback throws his only interception of the year. And, a guy didn't take the right route path. Still, I mean, didn't have to kind of forced it, but expected him to be there, all-state wide receiver, and expected him to be there, and it wasn't there, and he got picked. And so they score again. And then we have only our third fumble of the year, second or third fumble of the year. Yeah, and I mean, we didn't turn the ball over, and then it just went bam, 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 and we're down 17-0. It'd be so easy for kids and coaches to just start getting on each other. And what I heard was win the moment. Coaches and players just saying that, part of our terminology, part of our core values, just continue to hear it. Hey, we have a lot of time. We have a lot of time. And no one's getting on each other. And you start hearing those things, you're like, our culture is real. Our kids have bought in. Our kids believe. And then a comeback happens, So that to me is a bigger deal because of where we were at in that game and what could have happened. They could have been like, well, we were undefeated the year before. We're 11-0 the year before, and we come in and we lose the championship. And then we're 11-0 again and we lose the championship. They could have just went total negative and quit.
Right.
I mean, how many people would have just quit there? Our kids didn't quit.
Mm-hmm. So now my last thing for you, looking ahead to this season, you guys have a couple early testers on the road. You got Lennox week 1 right out the gate in Lennox.
Yeah. The state schedule makers have quite the sense of humor, don't they?
They do. And I don't know if you'd rather have them at home in homecoming week or at their place in week 1. That's not sure. Then you guys go to West Central 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Then you guys are hosting Brookings and Del Rapids the next 2 weeks after that. You go to Madison in week 6. You host Millbank and Tri-Valley last 2 weeks of the regular season. This schedule feels like it's set up to be a gauntlet.
Yeah, it is.
Tell me what you are thinking about this season, especially, like you said, you're bringing your quarterback, Cooper Strandy, back, a bunch of other guys. How are you feeling about this year?
Like mentioning Coop, he's just the epitome of what you want leading your team as a quarterback. He's just amazing. Just as a human being, young Christian man, he's just amazing. His work ethic, how he leads, his positivity, the way he studies, and the way he does everything is max effort and intentionality. I mean, he's the kid that you want, like, you have a daughter, you want him marrying a kid like Cooper Strandy. He's amazing. So to have that kid back in his second year at quarterback is a really, really good feeling. He can do everything that you want him to do. But, looking at our other, like Brant Wassner, he's not coming back, and we lose all these other guys. So Brant Wassner is a D1 football player, but he's got Division I basketball offers, and that's his love. And we love Brant, but we're really going to miss him. I mean, he had a lot of Division I people calling me about whether or not he's going to play football or basketball.
Right.
A lot. And so he's an FBS football player. And, so we lose a 6'5" FBS wide receiver and all these other graduating guys. So we lost 4 tight ends. But we really like our speed. We do have a lot of other, weapons as far as speed goes. And we got a junior 6'9" tight end, Ryan Dielman. We have another tight end, Landon Travis, a sophomore that's big and strong. He looks just like Nick Bopkes, who was our tight end, all-state tight end last year. And so we got a lot of speed. Our O-line coming back. We have 2 guys coming back on that, Rowan Vanderstouw and Andy Semchenko, and they're both really, really good. And the guys we're fitting in there, I think, are going to start to gel. That's the spot where we're like, that's the place where it just takes a while for O-line to get a good feel. And you never really, people think, well, in the summer we meet a lot. And we practice and have camps and stuff, but not everybody's there all the time. People are playing baseball, or they got mission trips here, or they got a Bible camp here, and maybe a vacation or something here that was planned. And so that group is the one that I think I'm really excited about seeing strides throughout the year, and I think they'll get better and better. Our defense, I think, is just completely reloaded and is going to be lights out. I'm really excited about that. Again, on that side of the ball, we don't have a bunch of huge dudes. We just got a lot of speed and athleticism, and I'm really excited about our defense, and I think they'll help us out. Again, last year we were in that same boat. I said, our defense, I think we have returned a lot of guys. I think we had 7 guys back, and I felt like they were going to help our offense that was really young. We had 8 returning starters on offense last year, but this year, I see it again, and I just see it in practice. Our defense is so good and so fast. So I'm really excited about that. But, I think that'll be the test. That first week in Lennox, they are good. They're really good. Like they have Drake Mickelson, Division I. I think Minnesota wants him as a tight end, but he's a wide receiver. I mean, he'll be kind of a spread, tight end, flanker type of spread out tight end guy. That Carlson kid that's going to SDSU he's a dude. He's a problem. And their other defensive ends really good too. Those guys both started since they were sophomores. And so they do some unique things, and they play different fronts in a different box to stop the run or pass, depending on what you see, and they're good at both of them. And that's not a typical thing. So you can know that they're really well coached. Teams that you'll see sometimes, like this is what they are, and they're a 3-4, quarters type team, cover 2 team or whatever, and then you get to the game and they're playing something different. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster for them,
right?
Because this is not who they are. They've never done this. They're doing this to try to stop something that we do, but Lennox clearly practices both, a 5 front and a 4 front, and they're good at both of them, and so you can tell that they're really well coached and that they take time to do both of those things to stop different things, and so it'll be fun. I've said this before. I said this to our kids all the time. They're a worthy opponent. Like, they make us better. There's a lot of people that don't like us. My prayer would be for people to start looking at us as a team that makes you and your kids better, instead of a team to hate on and avoid. Or there's some other sports and different levels of sports and stuff where people don't want to play us. And I just like from our mindset, we don't look at people that way. Like, our school, like we talk about this, like in our football program, like, let's have this abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. Let's have a look at people as a worthy opponent, and now we have somebody to gauge ourselves against and make ourselves better. Because back to the beginning of this, people try to take the easy way out. If everything's just easy all the time, you're going to get worse. You're just going to we're the best, or I'm the best at this position. It's no different than a kid winning a starting spot and just being satisfied. Well, how about you just become the best guy in your conference, or the best guy at that position in the state, or in the region, or just find a new goal, set a new goal. So we look at Lennox as a team that, we need to gauge ourselves against. And so right off the bat, who better to go and play? I mean, I love it.
And if I'm going to have my way, you guys get to bookend the season. That's all I've been hearing, is that I need to see Sioux Falls Christian and Lennox play. And I'm the kind of guy that's like, if there's 2 teams playing a really good game, I'd watch you guys play every week. That's my preference. But hey, I don't get to make schedules.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jared, thank you so much for taking some time for us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I just appreciate just having the opportunity, and we'll talk about our kids and our program.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Argus Sideline. We're going to be doing this bi-weekly. Make sure you check it out every 2 weeks. We're going to be dropping a new episode on Wednesdays. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next one.